I got expensive habits. If I want it, then I gotta have it.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Nello here. Today we are going to be going through Louduhyungin's track 720. Of course I produced this one. This is obviously kind of like melodic rap vibes, but it's got some harder elements. We're going to be going through the melodies, the vocals, the mix bus, pretty much everything about it. So stick around and we'll check it out. Alright, so first thing here, yeah, of course we're using Logic Pro X. I'm checking out, this is the full project. Of course I usually layer all my melodies in the top, drums and shit in the center. Yeah, I mean I use audio for all my drums here. And then yeah, vocals on the bottom. Kind of a lot of layers just because a lot of them have different effects on them, like flanger, phasers, and stuff for the bridge here. You can hear this kind of stuff.
Look, why is you fucking with me? Little nigga, like, why is you fucking with me?
Just a lot of panning and different effects on those. But yeah, we're gonna probably dive into the melodies first. Alright, so this will be the first layer. I believe this one's a pad. Got the second layer here. And that'll be a harp. And third layer. And that's just the octave step up for the harp. And then the lead should be here. This one's also a harp, I believe, but it sort of fills up the mid-tier range. And then we can hear them all together. That's pretty much the main loop. There is a bass loop here. I think it's this one. Just kind of a real bass on it. Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite melodies ever made. I don't know, I just love the harps. I just feel like they give it a good bounce. So moving along, let's check out drums. Alright, so taking a look at the hats, the claps, open hats, and the perks. Alright, so I got a ride on here. This is how those sound. And that one's actually a hi-hat loop from my boy Vic. Yeah, sometimes I'm just mad lazy with the hats. I'll be straight with you. Like, I spent so much time making the melodies for all these, I'm just like, nah, you already know there's fucking sprinkler-ass hi-hats the entire thing. Alright, let's hear it all together. I'll mute the vocals though, just so you can just hear just the beat. And yeah, you can kind of hear the dynamics here, and you can see kind of some of the separation. I do only have this high-low lead on the intro and the bridge sections, and then the verses I cut out, I believe, the high on the harp for the main portion of the melody. And yeah, obviously that's just for creating dynamics. Yeah, just to go over these patches some more, these are all on Omnisphere. Typically, a lot of these will have like a low pass EQ on or something. Looks like none of these have any sort of EQ on them, oddly enough. But they do go to this bus. This looks like it's got a flanger. Murder melodies is usually what I use. I think when I was like testing out the melody, I did have gross beat on it, or halftime, whichever one you prefer to use. And yeah, these ones just have like a low cut EQ and an EQ to make room for the vocals. And then yeah, it's like I got something else to make room for fucking vocals too. Well then yeah, just to move on to the vocals, you can check these out here. These are recorded all on a Neumann TLM 102. Yeah, that's one of my favorite mics I've been using a lot. You can hear the soloed vocals here.
I got expensive habits. If I want it, then I gotta have it. See the view alone, I'ma grab it. I'm doing it just for the status. I'm walking around in some fragments. Double G's just attracted a bad bitch. If I want it, then I gotta have it. If I saw it, then I gotta grab it. Diamonds all over my teeth. I smile, it gleam. You see me flexing on TV.
Yeah, those things sound super good. Basically, how those get to that point, you can check it out here. If you're familiar with Logic, these all basically get the monophonic time editing on them. Just always make sure to select monophonic. If it usually defaults to polyphonic, but if you're using that for vocals, it'll phase and sound super weird. So yeah, just always make sure to hit that one. I'll do the timing on it. Obviously, snapping to most bars with triplets, so you got to be kind of careful of them. Typically, your artist should be good enough to, you know, kind of get by with sort of the middle portions, but I usually snap all the bars. You can see just so, like, yeah, when it's coming in, they're always hitting exactly that way. And then yeah, you can go through it and do the flex pitch after you do your flex time editing. And yeah, obviously you just go kind of either syllable by syllable and fix them as they need to. Yeah, you can really kind of get as in depth as you'd like to with this, removing the vibrato. But yeah, I mean, you should probably mostly just be getting like as good takes as possible, just so you aren't spending too much time doing that. But yeah, kind of depends what you're working with. If it's, you know, a mix down, you didn't get control over that, but you know, these rappers be lazy, you know how it is. But yeah, those are those vocals. I do have the main vocals and the ad-libs bussed separately. You can see that here. This is the main bus. Going through that, typically we're always using Slate plugins, and that's with Virtual Mix Rack. We got the noise gate, we got the EQ, compressors. The Revival plugin's nice, it's got the thickness and the shimmer. And yeah, this is on console mode, usually just for saturation, honestly. This actually has the little micro shift on it, and this is pretty much just adding kind of like a doubling low end effect to it almost. This is pretty low though, it's on like 3% or something. We got this compressor on it, and yeah, like typically this is sort of the jumping off point vocal bus I use for most of my artists, but yeah, a lot of the times you'll have to mess with the attack and stuff depending on what kind of song it is, or you know, how hot it was coming into the preamp. Pretty much everything above that point is the jumping off point, but specific to each artist I'll have an EQ for, you know, some voices are more nasally than others or what have you. So Lou's got a, you know, pretty deep voice, so yeah, you can see why that's a lot of this cut out. Past that, I got a silver verb. As you know, if you see my past videos, I always toss this on my vocal chain just to take some of the top end out of it. And honestly, that's just for making the vocals sound less present and real. I don't know. There's just too much clarity. So that's kind of a hood way of I got around that. And yeah, I got a 7% flanger on the whole thing, and that just makes it, like, honestly just sound more auto-tuney. Like, just making it shittier. Like, it's rap music. It's got to be shitty. And then, yep, we're busting the effects. We're using the repeater and the verb suite. This is on an 8th. Looks like it's a full delay. Yeah, obviously it's cranked right now because, like, this is the bus and we can control the volume from these knobs. And then, yeah, I got verb suite on here. All right, so now you've seen a little bit of that. I'll just run the full chorus just so you can kind of hear how it all sounds together.
I got expensive habits. If I want it, then I gotta have it. See the view loan, I'ma grab it. I'm doing it just for the status. I'm walking around in some fragments. Double G's just attracted to bad bitch. If I want it, then I gotta have it. If I saw it, then I gotta grab it. Diamonds all over my teeth, I smile, it gleam. You see me flexing on TV, I'm rolling the craziest weed.
And yeah, that's pretty much how that all sounds coming together. And honestly, I mean, like, you can all see, like, I feel like half of these beats are so simple, like, I mean, like, even if you're losing loops, like, this really isn't like that many layers. It's just kind of about creating dynamic in space for the most part. And it's all just kind of subtle stuff you got to pick up in that sense. So, you know what I mean? Don't go crazy with the perks and the hats. And yeah, just really try to leave room for the artist, because, like, I feel like half the time when you're producing, you just want to have a good sounding beat, but it's kind of not all about that all the time. It's, you got to make room. And then even then, so, like, if you're a recording artist in person, like we really take our time with the ad libs. Like, we're punching these in and, like, kind of being careful with them. And then, yeah, I guess let's just go through the bridge, just because, like, yeah, this was kind of a choppy section I had. I honestly think this was freestyled in the session. But yeah, pretty much, like, he recorded like 3 or 4 separate freestyles over this one section. I ended up chopping it up and kind of making this section. It kind of sounds fun.
Yeah, like, why is you fucking with me? Look, why is you fucking with me? Little nigga, like, why is you fucking with me? I got a blick, but you fucking with me. I let it rip, little nigga, but why is you fucking with me? I got expensive habits. If I want it, then I gotta have.
Yeah, and yeah, that's just one of those examples of just, yeah, the artist and the producer working together, like literally freestyled, and like, yeah, like I said, it was just like 4 separate freestyles tracked over each other, and I just chopped a bunch of shit together, and that one ended up coming out cool. This was actually the first session Lou and I had together. Yeah, this whole song start to finish was made in an hour, which is kind of nuts. But and pretty much last section of this, like structure wise, I had, I think. For the second half of the second verse, we did this chopping section. A lot of people will use Gross Beat or other plugins like that. I mean, it's working in Logic with audio is super easy, so this was actually hand chopped. And yeah, you can hear that here.
Cause I'm never lacking. Pushing the whip, it's a big body made back, and I sit in the back of the V. Swing by that shop and I rap it. When I go out, it's real easy to know when it's me. Color is black and it's matte. Tinted the windows so niggas can see through the bitch. I'm getting rich, I'm getting money, and I'm getting big. Bitch, you won't see.
And yeah, if you can see from the muted tracks, that was basically just all the main portions of the low section of the melody, so all the low harps and the pads and everything, with a low version of the main lead on it, all exported together, and then yeah, it's chopped up. I can solo that. And yeah, typically, honestly, I'll usually do something like that with the melody halfway through these, just because, yeah, it kind of gets boring. So if you hear most of my beats, you'll kind of hear that used a lot. And if you're kind of using one of these techniques, this is kind of something important to mention. All of these, if you go up to the the information tab, all these have a 10 fade on it, because yeah, if you're cutting exported audio in the program, for some reason it clips and makes high like clipping frequencies, so to remove that, you just do a little 10 fade on each of them. It doesn't really make it sound faded, but it gets rid of that, and I think, yeah, I can show you an example of what it would sound like if you didn't do that. Yeah, you can kind of hear that little clipping noises there, opposed to this. So yeah, no more little clicking noises, so that's how you get rid of that. And yeah, basically that's everything for this beat. Only other thing I would really mention is just make sure you're bussing all your melodies and bussing your vocals. Definitely separate your ad-libs and your main vocals, just because the compressor will be fighting with it when you have all those effects stacked. And yeah, for the melodies, it's just kind of easy because you can solo them and EQ them all together, and they kind of get all the same effects. I hope you picked up a thing or two. I will link the original song in the description, the artist's Instagram, my Instagram. Definitely go follow that stuff, and yeah, if you like these videos, toss a little subscribe. Support your boy. You know you want to. Alright, well, peace, boys.